Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of All Access. It's a gorgeous day in New York. I hope you also are having a great day and the beginning to a great weekend. I wanted to summarize for you everything that's happened in the Avalanche universe and in my world in the last week. We had a great chat last time. I think some of you who have seen me promised that I would get rid of the stupid looking goatee on my face. I will be disappointed today. I'm going to keep it for just a couple more days. I have a special guest coming in today. My sister is arriving today. I'm really, really thrilled to see her. I wanted her to see me with this thing. So it's going to be around for a couple more days, but then I'm going back to my normal self. Yeah, I was trying to go for this like Tony Stark look, but I can't quite make it. So this is what we got. Let's see. There is a lot to discuss, as there often is in the Avalanche universe. I think the main thing for me, from a personal perspective, leaving aside the personal stuff, but what the big thing that happened in the last week is I discovered how much I love bear markets. I was born in a bear market, I would say, with the Avalanche system being built during a bear. As an academic, you're always in a world where you are doing things that the world doesn't know how to appreciate right then and there. So delayed gratification is not a problem for any of us, I think, over here who are building. And I like the quiet. I like the quietness of the markets. I like the fact that that you really have to have merit. Bear markets are when the projects with merit show through. In a bull market, any idiot can create a chain. And in fact, the most successful people in a bull market are these highly egotistical names who flare up. They issue 20 coins, and they don't stand behind any of them. And then one by one, they falter in a bear market. These people disappear for a few years, and then they come back. I hope that you all are getting wise to this. These people don't matter. There's just not players in the long term. They will come and go. They'll make noise, but there's always going to be like 15 scams that they're running at any one time. And if you think you know who I'm talking about, you don't, because I actually don't have a single person in mind. It's really a composite. There's a bunch of people who fit into this category, and so they come and go, and there will be a lot of overhyped projects that falter and disappear. We're not one of them at all. We're the exact opposite. We thrive in a bear market because we have merit. We're building things, and whereas other people are constantly selling a dream that's always out of reach, that's always in peer review, that's always in discussions, that's always changing, and then they get upset at you if you quote something from their documentation that's like a week old. So instead of that, we are in a world where, at least the Avalanche team is in a world, or the Avalanche community is in a world where we actually have solutions that work, and we're going to begin to see the fruits of that labor in the months ahead. So let me tell you a little bit about things that are happening. My main message to you today is that even in volatile market conditions, Avalanche continues to show great growth metrics. And by this, I really mean great growth metrics. Like if we had this during a bull run, everybody would be super excited. So this is the monthly active users. The purple bars show the C chain, not counting the subnets. The subnets are different. The all-time highs occurred in January, and since January there has been a slight drop. I think about a quarter of our users have gone dormant. This is entirely normal. It's also entirely across the entire industry. So all of the chains are seeing a slowdown. Fees are down on many highly congested chains. That's because people are not using the chains as much. It's because the DeFi yield opportunities are a little lower, although we'll talk about those in a second. So there's a small drop, but overall, this is an incredibly strong chain and an incredibly strong community. It should be much bigger. So when I think about, when I read the news and I hear about people's problems in a post-pandemic world, I hear about people looking for yield. I hear about people looking for investment opportunities in a world where they know the price of many assets, especially stocks, will go down because the Fed is about to do quantitative tightening. When I hear that, I go, but we know how to do better. We've been doing better in DeFi. And there's a big discrepancy. I'm sure if you're a regular listener of this podcast, you definitely know what I'm talking about. You have your normie friends and you have your blockchain friends. And the two, there's such a big gap between them. And that gap is something that we have to patch over. What I think will happen during the bear market is we'll build the tools, we'll build the new dApps that are easier for the masses to digest, and one by one we'll win people over. There are always going to be some haters, some negative people who typically ended up getting a snapshot of the crypto industry very early on. And they made up their minds. They looked at Bitcoin and said, okay, this is something I don't like. Well, fine. Okay, so you got that snapshot in 2015, Nuriel or whatever your name might be, and now you're stuck there. But the world has moved on. We know how to build things that are far bigger, better. We know how to build systems with unlimited capacity. I can always create new subnets if I need to create more capacity. We know how to build systems with incredible finality. About a second is what it takes to support many strong applications out there. And that's what we've got with Avalanche. Nobody comes close. So I can go on like this. So in a bear market, we're going to build those tools. And when the bull comes again, then as these things almost always do, because not always, they always do, because this is like taught in finance, in Econ 101, the market cycles are a thing. And when the market cycle switches sentiment again, then we're going to be in a prime position to take advantage of it. So great. I think I'm very encouraged by what I see in the monthly active users so far. And it's going to get better with, again, things that I'm about to discuss in a second, with the addition of other subnets, some of them bringing over large numbers of users from other domains that are not yet exposed to blockchains. This is TVL in AVAX terms. It is about 300 million AVAX. It increased by 83% over the last 3 months. So huge numbers of coins are being used in DeFi and Avalanche. It's fantastic to see, and I'm really excited. These coins are tied down in various different applications. They're off the market, so to speak. They could go back on the market, but at the moment, people choose to use their money in this form for this kind of yield rather than any other, and that's incredibly encouraging to me. Monthly transactions continues to increase. It was 32 million in May, all-time high. May just ended, and my goal is to improve and increase this number to whatever stratospheric levels, whatever the sky might hold for us. There's no upper limit. So, and then final graph I want to show you is native USDC. So that is native stablecoin, fiat-backed stablecoin, USDC on Avalanche is it just exceeded $1.5 billion. These are really large numbers. If 10 years ago, 2012, 2013, somebody came to me and said, hey, you will build a system that is going to hold billions of dollars, or anyone will build a system that's going to hold this many billions, I would be shocked. And here we are. So these things are eminently doable. We can build them. We understand the science now. There's a lot more engineering to be done. There are much better wallets coming through. The core wallet is something I'm supremely excited by. I keep playing with various different prototypes with early releases. I would love to show them to you, but the team will kill me if I leak anything. It's coming very, very soon. And there will be many other tools that the crypto world has not seen yet from Ava Labs. There are other cool applications, games, and DeFi applications coming on Avalanche that the world hasn't quite seen yet. So I'm really excited about the innovation happening and taking place in blockchains in general and Avalanche in particular. The 1.5B in USDC is great. These numbers should all go up by 10x, right? So it should be 15. So hold me to it. Okay, so that's where we should be headed. I've also said this: the blockchain space will not have. So every good story has a beginning, has a development in the middle, and has a conclusion. So we're in the earliest of the beginning phases in blockchains. We know the beginning phase will have ended when the number one coin is a fiat-backed stablecoin. So I've been saying this for some time now. It's one of those things that at some point other people will pick up on and start repeating it to me and tell it to me as if it's wisdom. But the bottom line is Bitcoin is number one. Bitcoin is just one of many coins. And number two is Ethereum, one of many coins. So what should really reign supreme here are notions of value tied to our real world. They are very important. So I fully expect that that in the next few years, the number one coin is going to be a stable coin. When that has happened, we know that we are no longer in the beginning phase of this technology. We're now going into the maturity phase, and we're going to explode from there on. So that's going to be exciting. I think with that change, the speculative value of these assets will go down, and the actual utility value will go up. I'm excited about that as well. So because obviously speculation is driven by hype and nothing, and hot air and dreams, whereas utility is driven by what you can do, and I know where my strengths lie. Okay, so I'm excited about this, and hopefully there will be much more, and I'm excited about the space. And again, as I said, since none of the stable coins are at the pole position, we're still in the beginning phase of the blockchain saga. And then there's this. Sorry, I lied. There was one more graph. This is the unique contracts deployed on Avalanche. It spiked to 166,000. I've been so tired and so busy that I haven't had a chance to look into why this happened. I believe subnets have something to do with it. And all I know to say at the moment is this. There are chains out there. Some of them are valued very, very high and not very far from us. There are chains out there that have about 200 contracts deployed. And they go around making a big deal saying we have 200 dApps. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that you have 200 dApps. Well, we have 166,000. If we are counting every contract as a dApp, then we have 166,000. I have no idea what they do. Quite a few of them must be duplicates of some kind. It seems really interesting. So whatever these might be, people are using these chains. They need the space. They need that trustless foundation. They need what these systems provide. And that's a wonderful thing to see. There's no other way of getting to these properties at the moment. So a couple of other numbers. The total number of transactions on the DeFi Kingdom subnet exceeded 14 million. That's a hell of a lot of interactions with users. So great to see this. I haven't looked into DeFi Kingdom myself, but these chains, these systems are incredibly consumptive of blockchain space. And had DFK been on the C chain, had it been on Ethereum, it wouldn't have been able to support this many interactions. So this is the economic activity that stems from low fees. The two go hand in hand. If you have low fees, then things can happen that would otherwise be priced out. And so instead, they're actually taking place. There's a community of validators that are actually validating this chain, and it's great to be in this situation. Now, of course, as users, we have to make sure that these subnets are each independently and individually decentralized, that there isn't some hidden centralization behind the scenes, et cetera, et cetera. All of those apply. They also apply to L2s, by the way. And L2s, there isn't a single one that passes muster at the moment. Hopefully, I'm very hopeful that someday we will have these. I think that's going to take a few years at the current rate of progress that I see on this front. But when it does happen, Avalanche is going to be, again, in a much better position to work with them and to adopt L2s and combine them with subnets, because the two technologies are not exclusive. The two go hand in hand and they couple up well. So I think there's a group of people out there who are trying to portray us as some kind of a competitor to L2s. I've certainly said things where I said, look, the L2 vision isn't a great vision. So that has made people think that we're against them. No, we're not. We are very much looking forward to them, especially the zero knowledge L2s. I am actually hopeful that they might be able to go somewhere. The other ones, they've had their run. They've been around for a long time now, and they are still incomplete. They don't support the most basic things you want. They don't support fraud proofs. They do not support decentralized sequencers, or they don't support a generally decentralized application. They award all MEV to a single party. I could go on like this. So they all have fundamental issues. There was a very good report from Celestia that came out that actually details all of these things. So in any case, in a world such as that, here we are with the DFK subnet that made happen a huge number of user interactions and is ticking strong. So I'm really proud of the fact that they launched and went on without a hitch, and now they have their own subnet with a huge number of users and supporting a very large number of transactions. The AVAX burned is now 1.8 million. So you do your math. The burn dates depend on the burn date, of course. The amount of money that's been burned is even larger. I think when we compute the USD burned, we just multiply with the current price. But some of these coins were burned when the coin price was very high. It's great to see. So what you really want is low fees, high burn. So low fees, high capacity, and clearing so many transactions that in aggregate, you are burning large amounts of coin, but you're charging a small amount to each individual. So subnets are the beginning of this. I told everybody that, hey, stay put. This is kind of like that cookie that you get when you walk into a supermarket, right? It's free, and then you go and buy the cookie later on, and then you pay for it when you do that. So in a similar fashion, the initial subnet, the very first subnet, will have very low fees, and it will reduce the fees on the C chain. That is great. That's what entices people to come in and say, that's the tech. That's what I want. I want low fees for my users. I want high capacity. I want quick finality. And that's where I'm going. That's where the developers go. And once you have enough of these subnets, then in aggregate, you have so much that the burn starts to go up. So we're at the very initial days of that. And I know you're with me because you see that. And for the rest of the folks out there, well, I don't know what to do other than say the same stuff over and over again until people catch on. They usually don't catch on until there's something big happening. So we'll wait quietly for other people to discover this stuff. And as I said, I'm perfectly happy with that and building in the meantime. The gaming ecosystem, it has been growing on Avalanche. This has been a lot of fun. So there's a new game called Castle Crush. It's a battle game. And they just came up with this graphic. This is an homage to all the other AVAX projects that people named. It's very cute. But the salient points for this game are that it was actually launched in 2016. It's a 6-year-old game with a very active user community of 1.2 million monthly active users. So these are actual people who log in at least once a month to play this game. Wildlife Studios, it's from there. It has 1.3 thousand employees. I don't know how they manage that. At Alva Labs, we are fairly sizable, but we're not at the 1,000 mark yet. And I know how hard that is. So this is a real game with real people and lots and lots of real users playing it. And they're launching on Avalanche next week. So this is a game that's proven to be fun to play with. It's not just financial games, financial operations. It's actual fun gameplay with their own subnet launching next week. And they don't have any financial incentives of any kind. So I'm really excited. Let's see. So what else is new with Avalanche? Quite a bit. Let's see. My screen doesn't update sometimes. So what else is new with Avalanche? Quite a few things. So DAI rewards are on. So if you hold DAI and you bring it over to Avalanche over the bridge, which is however long it takes, it's entirely Ethereum latency plus 1 second. So go play with it. The user interface alone will show you everything you need to know about what team is building the fastest system. So the user interface will show you where you're spending your time and then which system can confirm transactions fastest. So bring your DAI over, and if you do, you end up getting some rewards, and so those rewards are paid through these incentives. So our head of DeFi is really excited. This is a good opportunity. I think in a world of dwindling farming opportunities, dwindling yield opportunities, this is a good one for especially the current market cycle that we're in. For a bear market, these are fantastic. Meanwhile, my bank offers me, I don't know how little. So that created a large supply of DAI to come over from 129 million to 477 million in one day. Not 500 million moved in for these rewards. So if you want to take advantage of them, these rewards are there for the duration that they last. So it's kind of like a promotion. So finally, we have an NFT market. We have rather NFTs that are going online. And there's a constant stream of them. I have to admit that the NFT marketplace situation on Avalanche is not the strongest. We don't have the most number of users at the moment. I will work on changing this. So this is one of my priorities for the bear market for the next months to come. And this is a multi-sided thing, as many things are in this space. You have to get everything right. If you're falling behind in one aspect, then you're not going to make it. It's kind of like the dating world, right? So you could do this, that, and the other, but you're missing out on something, and it'll just not work for you at all. So it's a similar situation. We're working on a couple of things. Avalanche is a very strong community. It has a very, very, very proud, very exciting group of creators who are willing and thrilled to deploy on Avalanche. I've always been blessed with that. That's partly because they're the very same people who know about Avalanche. They've been involved, and they're looking forward to deploying their art. The marketplaces on Avalanche have not been as good historically, not been as strong, and they haven't been as featureful. So Kevin Seknicki and a few others did a whole study of a feature comparison. We've been sharing this with our ecosystem partners, with people who've deployed on Avalanche, to make sure that they understand where they're missing and what kinds of features they need to have to compete with other entrants in the space. So we're excited about the marketplaces and their evolution. The latest here was Joepegs. And so Joepegs is coming to you from the same team, Trader Joe, that brought us a very, very fun AMM with chock full of features that made a huge dent in the space, entered the top 3. So the Trader Joe folks have built this thing called Joepegs, and it's a great name, by the way. And they started out with, I think their first artist is Jim Guventurk. He's a caricature artist and a hand-drawn cartoon artist. So he is going to be doing an NFT series called Feelings, and it's based around this theme of uniqueness. I'm really excited. We're going to see how Joepegs holds up under this. This is a good test for it, and we're going to see how this market responds to it. And so this is one of the JPEGs I like. So the JPEG space, because Avalanche was lacking, a whole bunch of NFT projects ended up promising far more than they could deliver. So the early ones, they came in, and every single NFT artist also promised to build an NFT marketplace. I never understood that. I counseled every single person I knew to talk to not do it, but they did it anyway, and that created some hollow expectations there. That's changing, right? So now we have proper differentiation. We have the marketplaces, and they're getting to the point where they're feature complete and or better in features than other chains. So take a look at the NFT marketplaces. Take a look at Joepeg. Take a look at Kalau. Take a look at NFT Trade. Take a look at, there's a whole bunch of others that they're going to be very upset at me because I forgot to mention their names. But when I do these stream of consciousness podcasts, I can't remember all of them. But take a look at the Avalanche NFT space. There's a lot of gems there, and we're poised for growth. And every time I've said this, I've delivered. So, and I've been around for a long time, 30,000 tweets, and there's maybe one or two where I said something and it didn't happen. But generally, when we point out things, they do happen. So take a look. This is going to be fun. And final note, I think Spunk2513 is saying, look, AVAX is doing for blockchains what ETH did for ERC20s. That's true. Anyone can create a subnet on Avalanche. We're doing for the network what programmability did, what software-defined networking did for actual networks. So that's maybe too technical, but if you're in the space, ETH, ERC20s. Well, now Avalanche is doing the same thing for blockchains. You can have your own token, and you can create a blockchain around it, where that token is used for your gas. That token then starts having a much better posture in front of regulators because it's actually used for something, for utility. And that token is actually needed. There is demand created because people have to use that to interact with the services on your chain. And then on that chain, you can set up any kind of rule set that you like, and you can get any sets of validators that you like. And there'll always be people who try to throw verbiage at you. These are the same people who do nothing all day other than come up with roadmaps, come up with technical stories. The field of distributed systems It's been around for 50, 60 years. It's not a very long time, but it's sufficient time for us to have developed the vocabulary that we needed. So if a team is constantly inventing new words, it's an indication that they maybe don't understand the basics, that they have to do that. They feel they have to do that to keep you on the string, to constantly keep pulling this thing, kind of like Godot, waiting for you, always unreachable, always in the process of being delivered. And, don't you dare criticize their dreams, because obviously they're perfect, because it's a dream. In my dreams, I do amazing things. And certainly if you have some stinky real thing, and I have my dream, which is virtual and obviously without any faults, and we know which one's going to come out ahead. But the thing is, if they have no ability to deliver anything whatsoever, then how long can that keep on going for? Anyhow, this slide says ETH. I was, again, talking generally. I feel terrible now. This wasn't specific to Ethereum. This is a common thing in the blockchain space. Many teams end up promising things that they don't know how to deliver. ETH, I'm actually very excited about, because the merge is coming. And one of the nicest things about the merge is the fact that it's going to put an end to the hype around the merge. So let's see this thing in action. I found out that finality after the merge is going to be 12.8 minutes. So it's 1 second for us. So 12.8 minutes is an insanely long time. It is great in that it makes Ethereum green. It makes Ethereum not actively damage the environment. So I'm really excited about that. But technically, even after the merge, they will be far behind what Avalanche can do in terms of technical prowess. It is doing to the VM what ETH did to the scripting language. Let me be clear, ETH did an amazing thing to the scripting language. It made it Turing complete. And once it became Turing complete, you became able to store things in the blockchain. You became able to perform computations in a trustless manner. You became able to perform computations with integrity. It doesn't provide confidentiality unless you add additional layers. You can't hide the data on the blockchain. You can do tricks around that. There's tricks you could do, again, using the Turing completeness of the language as a layer on top. You can do homomorphic encryption to hide some of these things. But ETH ended up doing something amazing for us on the scripting language side, and we're doing the exact same thing on the virtual machine side. Now you can deploy your own virtual machines. They can have any arbitrary set of rules that you want. You can change them any which way you want. And I've been involved in writing quite a few of these things. And in the lab, we have the WASM VM, for example. Should WASM take off as a platform that people want to compute for, that people want to develop in, we can deploy these things at any time that we like. So he says, if you don't understand this bear market is probably the time to try to confirm or deny. I think that's a good point. Bear markets are a good time. The pressure is off, and hype alone doesn't take projects very far. We saw many projects that are completely undeserving get a lot of value infused into them during the last bull market, and that can happen, and it's fine. But the bears are when the people who build shine through. And this is a good time to look around and say, hey, imagine, what is the actual goal here? Is there a golden standard that people are trying to build towards? The answer is yes. It's fairly clear. Low, super fast finality. That's what people want. Very high capacity, low fees, and reliability. They want a chain that doesn't go backwards. They want a chain that isn't down every other day. They want a chain that isn't working 9 to 5, but is working 7/24. So those are the things that people want. And they want all of this done with security and decentralization in the back end. I know how to do these things more or less on a laptop. And some of these L2s are essentially running out of laptops. And so now it's time to try to build these in a manner where you don't have to trust me or my laptop, and instead can run at high speeds with a decentralized backend that doesn't require any trust. So that's exactly what we've been striving to deliver. And the bear market is a great time to just take a break, take a look at the technology, and say, okay, if that is the golden standard, then what's the path to get there, and who is closest? So is the path a very, very convoluted one involving 50,000 new terms and distributed systems that nobody has heard of? Is the path something where we very slowly do a whole bunch of updates, just stretched out over the years? It's you decide. And there are a whole bunch of ways to get there, and the Avalanche one is right here. And from day one, I resisted the urge to sell dreams. In fact, I hate that. I hate the fact that this area is, for every $95 of speculative money, there's only $5 of actual money that knows what it's doing. So that's the fundamental fact that sets the stage up for dream peddlers. And so this area, this space is full of dream peddlers, and I resisted this. That's one of the reasons why we don't have a roadmap for Avalanche. It's what it is. You like it, you use it. You don't like it, don't use it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, we're going to invent X, then we're going to invent Y, then we're going to invent Z, and then after that, it's going to be great. You're not in a position to tell if X or Y or Z are actually feasible. Most of these people with these convoluted roadmaps, they don't actually know that their paths are feasible. They're kind of doing a Hail Mary, thinking, oh, this will be possible. Will it be possible? Will you be able to fit a fraud proof within the gas limits of a chain? I don't really know. No, so we haven't seen that in action yet. It's possible for ZKPs, I think, but I don't know that it's possible for other cases. So there are all sorts of difficulties in this space that haven't been demonstrated in a lot of projects that are going down blind alleys without having done the feasibility. They're selling you roadmaps. So in this sea of bleak market news, I think where Avalanche is today is nothing short of amazing. We have a strong community, thanks to you all. We have a very strong foundation, thanks to all the devs who worked very, very hard on this. And I'm proud of the part I played, but by no means did I play a major part in it whatsoever. The part I played is a tiny one. But it was kind of important in bringing the right kind of people together, because we ended up having a sound foundation. That's what attracts the great builders that make up the Avalanche developer community, the core developer community. So here we are. And we're going to go through some market ups and downs. No one can know when they will end. And the central bankers, they end up cranking certain parameters up and down on the main economy, causing money to slosh around in the system. And so we never know when they're going to say, hey, what we're doing is actually disruptive. We'll never know what will trigger that, what kind of a jobs report, what kind of a housing report, what else. And the only thing that makes sense is you do what you know to do, and you build something that clearly has value. You build something that clearly aims at getting towards this gold standard that I talked about, and you just get ready. At some point or another, and I suspect not too long from now, the central bankers will realize that the macro conditions that they've been playing with are actually not conducive to healthy recovery after a pandemic, that they will want to take things a little easier, a little calmer. And when that happens, I think we're going to see rallies. And not that, if we don't, then we don't, and we'll wait a little bit more. And then the regulatory environment will change. After every election, things change in the US, and people will ultimately end up voting out people who are regressive, and will vote in people who understand the value of technology, who understand the value of programmable money, programmable financial systems, and transparency in the financial system. So I'm really excited about this. And on that thought, I think that marks the end of my sort of free-form discussion for the week. So one additional thing I should mention: bear markets are when people get tested. So you all will get tested as people who bought tokens, who subscribed to a vision, subscribed to an idea, became part of a community, and so some people don't pass this test. So let's see. There will be a whole bunch of projects in Avalanche, in Ethereum, there aren't any projects on Bitcoin really. So whatever chain you might pick, there are a whole bunch of projects around it. Some of these in a bear market might collapse. Some projects end up doing poor treasury management. Some projects end up doing poor delivery. Some projects were never meant for the long term. The team wasn't really strong enough. They didn't believe in their own idea. They end up seeing the bear market as an opportunity to bug out, an opportunity to say, hey, I got what I wanted out of this, I'm leaving, etc. So these can happen. And when they do, please don't come and ask me for help. I don't know what to do about them. I have no say over what happens on chain. I have no power over anything on chain, much in the same way that I cannot take your AVAX away. I cannot take anybody else's AVAX away. If I could, or if I could print them, like people were saying last week, if I could print billions dollars worth of AVAX or whatever, then I would have, right? Actually, I wouldn't have. But in any case, you get my point. So bear markets are going to bring out interesting behaviors. Make sure you protect yourself and don't invest in fancy projects with having done little research. The bread and butter projects that are here to stay are very, very clear in my eyes. So do your own research, do it well, and don't look to other people for remediation. There is no remediation in the blockchain world. That's one of the whole points of this space, is that there can be no third parties to come and force transitions in digital asset ownership. So with that in mind, I am going to wrap this up. I'm going to go pick up my sister from the airport in a few hours. I've been getting ready for her arrival, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope you too have a great time with your loved ones this weekend. I look forward to chatting with you a week from now. Take care.